help artists break through the noise and define themselves in the industry. I'm Sol.
I'm Greg.
And today we have a very special guest on the air with us. Very close friend of both of ours, Sean Labru, Filthybreakdowns, Decayer vocalist, and a whole bunch of other things. How you doing today, brother?
Good, guys. How y'all doing?
Chilling.
I'm doing great.
It's
great to have you on,
dude. It's good
dude.
to be here, man.
We've been talking about this for quite some time, and as we will get into, there's quite a few things that we have to talk about. We're all working together in ways that people aren't aware of yet.
Absolutely. There's so much going on behind the scenes, and it's like awesome that we can kind of break it apart and talk about it right now.
Yeah, definitely.
In a way that people aren't going to get the opportunity to hear in too many other situations, because we're about to go into a long-form chat about things that you're just going to see us posting, like completed versions of.
Yeah.
Whatever we're working on, which, again, I'm going to spare details until later on, until we get into it. But there's quite a few things that are going on behind the scenes that you guys don't know anything about yet.
A lot of exciting shit.
So, where do we even get started? There's a list of things that we could get into, that we want to get into, and we just got to pick one and run with it. You recently hit a milestone with Filthybreakdowns, didn't you?
Yeah. Fuck, man. Filthybreakdowns it's been crazy because that, I think I've told you guys that was started during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We hit 270,000 followers. I believe this past week.
First of all,
thank you.
Insane,
thank
man.
you.
There's a quarter of a million people following that page, and it's been, I guess, 5 years now?
Yeah. It's, I was looking back at it, like, recently, and I was tripping myself out because the gaps of time in between everything, like, those 5 years, there's been so much, like, change in the scene and just change in the way, like, marketing is and digital marketing and everything behind that with promoting bands. And so it's been a lot moving with that, but it's been also so much fun. And I'm super duper proud of where it's come to and where it's continuing to grow. But it all kind of comes down to the bands that I work with. I legitimately believe in the end that it's the bands that make this all happen. Without the music, like, there would be no page.
Yeah.
Collaboration is the name of the game.
Yep.
And I was going to ask you, what gave you the idea to start with that page? If I had to guess, since it started during the pandemic, was it, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first thing that comes to mind is that the live music industry just disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
So was it like a renewed need for just a way for communities to come together around music that made you want to do something like this?
Yeah, and you guys are, like, super correct on that. Like, there was obviously we were held back in the pandemic. There was no live music going on. It was all tucked away. But in general, I felt like in those years, the 4 years prior to that, still shows were not packed out like the way it is now. The way that even during the week, like, the scene is coming alive in all these cities, towns, everything like that. It felt like during that point you had to really, like, hunt down to find this music. You had to go to YouTube, you had to search it up, you had to just, like, really work for it. And I was just kind of bored during that time, just doing that myself, sitting in bed, YouTubing, looking up different breakdowns. And I was like, fuck, what if I just started an archive of my own on Instagram and just started featuring, like, different breakdowns that I thought was tight, instead of having to do that work and jumping onto YouTube and type, you know what I mean, and going to the minute 30, 2-minute mark. Like, I was like, fuck, I can just feature 45 seconds of the breakdown, have that section. So it's trippy. Yeah, I started with a couple different posts. And I'll never forget, it was, like, also during the time where you could go to a hashtag, look it up, and, like, just go and like every single post and, like, thousands of them before they, like, limit you. So I, like, immediately was trying to dip into the community and be like, yo, check out this page for Filthybreakdowns. There wasn't too many people doing it, but there was enough of it to where I just had this, like, personal push to want to get people to see what I was, like, fucking with myself. And it started with 3 or 4 posts. I just kind of did it, like, day after day. I didn't think at that point, like, consistency with it, because at that point I was young to it. I didn't really know about, really honestly, anything involved with that whole side of it yet.
I mean, that's like a learned thing. I feel like even, like, for, like, any of us doing our own music, like, we sit there and, like, learning the marketing side, and you're just like, huh, Had no fucking idea that was how I was supposed to do that, or
Yeah.
like how to run meta ads, and you're like, I don't know, and then somebody shows you, and you're like,
Oh, that's how.
Yeah.
that makes way
And
more sense.
It makes sense all of a sudden.
I'm a big like trial by fire guy. Like you gotta jump into the storm to figure out how to get out of it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But I would also say too that I've had a lot of people in my life, especially being in a band as well, with all of that. Like be an influence and kind of show me what this new modern style that would be happening during that time. But I would say at the beginning of it, it was more of just a pure love for different breakdowns and different sections. The whole element of Filthy Breakdowns, that was my entire idea from the start, was it being just the love for all of the cores, right? Like, I didn't care if it was like technical death metal, hardcore, grindcore, like anything like that. If it was a subgenre of metal, like I wanted to be able to promote it. So it did have that like openness, and it wasn't too and bias and have its own thing where like this is only a deathcore page. Now granted it's and it's no hate to that at all, but I'm a firm believer that if you want more people to discover, you need to be diverse. A lot of us discover a new band just by hearing something that's a little bit different, and it kind of is the gateway to you becoming one into this like fusion new sound, which is so many bands have that now. It's a huge thing going on. Fusion.
Sound fusions? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, okay, perfect example. Look at Bill Murray.
Oh yeah.
Y'allcore. What the hell? Like nobody thought that was gonna be a thing, and then all of a sudden people fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And it's like you can talk to any metal band and be like, "Hey man, what do you listen to?" And they'll probably throw a curveball at you. Like me, I love pop punk. Love it. Don't know why, but I love it. I'll go see Knucklepuck any day of the week if you told me to go. But it's like I played metalcore beatdown music. So it's like just the love for music in general is like I think like a big part of like what you're talking about. That I personally love that because it's not one dimensional. It's never one dimensional.
Am I the only one that feels also like comes as more of a surprise when you're talking to somebody who's into metal to find out that, oh yeah, I like all kinds of music? I feel like people look at it as like, oh really? Like when they talk to a metalhead, for some reason they assume that all we like is metal and worshiping the devil. And
yeah, no,
and then
they definitely put us in that box.
it's like, no, I listen to Usher. Like I like I like Big X the Plug. Like it's
I
not,
had Big X Plug literally playing on my way over here.
dude. Big X the Plug
So
is
good.
my vibe.
Yeah, so good.
Right now.
Yeah.
Bro. But it's nothing like metal. I mean,
No.
it's the reason I'm into metal, if I had to put it into words, because like, of course it's aesthetically pleasing. I like the way it sounds, the way it makes me feel. I feel powerful when I listen to metal.
100%.
But it's a way to tune into your negative emotions and kind of like process them.
Yeah.
And
It's a great release.
Yep.
that's why I see a lot of people that are into metal, or even further, like involved in the community, that are some of the most down-to-earth, like the least hateful people that you'll ever run into, because that's where we deal with our anger. We take it out on stage, when we're writing the music. Sometimes the best music comes from the darkest times in your life.
100%.
I mean, actually, not just a lot of the time.
A lot of the time.
That's where the most real art comes from.
100%.
But then, you put these feelings out on paper, and a finished song is like a processed emotion in a way. And you have that as a marker of like, you can remember what that felt like. You remember that you felt like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get through this back during that time. But you look back on it 5 years later when it's got 1 million streams on it.
I mean,
and
like dog, like you and I know listen to Throne. I'm sure you listen to Throne a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That last album is the most depressing shit I have ever read lyrics to.
Yeah.
It is dark.
crazy.
It is dark. It is the darkest lyrics I have read from a band in a minute.
Yeah.
And you would be like, yo, this is just brutal as hell. And then you read the lyrics and you're like, God damn, this dude's literally the saddest human being in the world. I'm like, nah, dog, he's just getting his negative emotions out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Or when he was
real.
When he was writing it, he probably was. But by the time it's released, he's probably moved past it, and he's probably found new power in overcoming that. So as a person, he's singing these lyrics on stage as a person who has healed from that.
Right.
And it's beautiful the way that we
Hell yeah.
like. It's like therapy.
100%.
Honestly, what it really is. It's free expression, and I think a lot of times metal is like the most authentic expression too.
I agree.
Because a lot of people will, I mean, I'm not gonna call any particular artist like inauthentic, but sometimes I feel like there's in certain genres where it makes sense to write a happy song whether you're happy or not.
Yeah.
And it might come across as lazy or maybe not as well written as it could have been, but just because you were trying to write a song from an emotional state that you are not in yourself.
It's almost disingenuous in a lot of ways. Very much so.
I love that. It's funny because I've always looked at it as like as any other relation to, what makes a person, but in the kind of sense that metal, especially we all agree with this, that it's aggressive, right? And
100%.
through community sense, people can get together. It's, in my opinion, one of the only genres of music where a group of 100 people to 15,000 people can get together and legitimately, like, on a Monday, go as crazy as they could, like it was a fucking Friday.
Yeah.
Right? And
100%.
like that, look over at somebody else who, even someone like me, like cardio in my life is big. It helps me with my anxiety. It helps me with fucking just getting my heart going all the time is a major aid in my anxiety. Right. And just like going to a metal show, being with a group of people that, in the end of it, everyone's trying to help each other up. Everybody's going crazy, but it's a safe spot to where you can have that community and let it out, right? And that counts from being on stage, and that counts from also being out in the crowd. Because when you're on stage, I mean, we all know this.
Tunnel vision.
You're in your own world to where you're catering to the crowd, but you're also the confidence in yourself of what you're doing up there, like, drives the entire shit.
You almost disassociate from the crowd in a way in order to be in your own head, and then it just comes out.
Yep.
All the feelings come out.
It's kind of a blackout.
It's kind of a
Yeah,
blackout.
it's like a blackout.
You literally, like, if you can remember your whole set, you weren't feeling it, I feel like, personally.
Y'all want to hear a
From
crazy fucking story about
Yes.
that? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, so it was like we were on tour with Upon a Burning Body and Signs of the Swarm, and we were in Atlanta at the Masquerade.
I love that venue.
It's a super sick venue. It's like separated. It has like hell,
Heaven, hell, and purgatory.
Heaven, hell, and purgatory. And we were playing at Purgatory.
I think so. That's one of the smaller ones.
Yeah.
Heaven is the big one.
Heaven is the
right?
big one.
Yeah.
We were playing at Purgatory, and dude, we were literally like, I could hear my set starting. I was doing the classic, like before kind of doing my thing. I was at that time drinking caffeine at a Red Bull. Our set is starting. I'm hearing like that intro music, and I legitimately like started having a panic attack. My heart was pounding. My like muscles started cramping up. I was like, holy shit, like fight or flight mode started happening immediately. And I got on stage, I looked at my guitarist, and I legitimately was like, yo, we may have to cut this. And the only time in my life where I've ever been able to like reverse that shit like automatically was that show, because he didn't hear what I said at all.
No, of course.
And
you
he
realize, like, at go time, whether I like it or not.
He didn't hear anything at all, and he got ready for Talented Son to start, which is like a line from me starting it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say the line at all. Song starts going in, and like, dude, like the first like 10, 15 seconds into it, like lines, I just came back into it. And it was like this, I almost called it like the healthy blackout on stage. Like it brought me like back to like my confidence, to where I pushed myself out of nowhere fucking panic attack. And I came to like right there, and we played a killer set.
Oh yeah.
And I talk about it to so many people, like especially who have, anxiety and like panic attacks and like whatnot with that.
I feel like that's such a vocalist thing.
it was
Your adrenaline goes up really high.
yeah.
Well,
You're
because
the last one on stage, and once you're there, it's like, boom, there we
There you
go.
go.
Well,
Ready to go.
yeah, and it's like, I love talking about this just because it's like, it literally was how I got started, and it's like that same feeling, that blackout moment, and it's that Swan Fest moment for me. Like, I got on that stage for a Skylight Drive, I looked at the crowd, my knees buckled, I almost passed out, and I composed myself, and then I just did it and got off the stage, and I was like, did that just fucking happen? Like, what the fuck? And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, time out. Like, and I'm like getting pictures sent to me, and I'm like, this happened. Like, I did that.
All in real time.
And I'm like, and I had zero recollection of any part of that. Like, I blacked out, and all I remember was seeing the crowd, blacked out, got off the stage, and was like, cool, what the fuck just happened? Like, it is so crazy. Like, playing Titan Fest with you. I fucking watched this dude killing it on stage, and I'm over there in my head like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And we're getting on stage, and then Sean's like, you're going to kill that shit. And I'm like, and then I'm just over there, and I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I'm like, I get on stage, and then I fucking get on stage, and I'm like, all right, cool.
Hell yeah.
But, like, I just remember watching Sean's set, and I was like, this motherfucker's so good. I was like, he's so good.
I appreciate that. That's funny. I remember that day, too. That was funny. That was when me and you were in the day fucking hitting the, what is it, the vocalist mist?
Yeah, the vocal
That's my
mist.
first tried vocal mist. Shout out vocal mist.
Shit's goated.
It's really, really, really good. And wasn't it, like, hot as fuck?
It was fucking scorching.
Outside, right? You play outside?
Yeah, we
played
were
outside.
dying.
It was just scorching hot. And, you know what's funny is I was just at Logoff, not to get too off topic, but I watched a backyard wrestling.
Oh, I saw
It was
that.
actually pretty dope, dude.
I'm
Like a
loving
full
that they're doing
backstory
more
and everything.
events.
Yeah, they're pulling it together over there.
I think it's cool.
I like it.
It's a neat little place that like is like just like catering to different communities. And I think that's
Absolutely.
super tight.
I like that they're actually allowed a fucking festival to happen there.
Yeah.
In the suburbs of Sacramento that actually had a shit ton of people at.
That brings a really good point though, because you're not from here.
No.
So like you talked about like the community and like how the community helped you, but like what was that like growing up in Arizona? What got you here? Like,
Yeah. So I got into metal like in Tucson where I grew up, and Tucson was like very diverse in that time. This was middle school is when I first started getting into like the heavier side of stuff with As I Lay Dying, even like Bring Me the Horizon, Count Your Blessings, and that like album before that. I wrestled a bear once, like all those types of bands. I'll never forget when my buddy showed me August Burns Red. We were in 7th grade in 2007. And he's like, dude, they
Which
wear
song was it
Hollister.
first?
I think it was Mariana's Trench.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That-
okay. I think the first one I heard was Whitewashed. Like, talk about an
I'm
introduction
gonna be honest
to a
with you,
band.
dude. It may be that one
That is the
It
song
may-
back in the day.
because it just
Or
hits
the
so
11th Hour.
hard. That is the only band that can wear Hollister that it can hit that hard still.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, dude. They pioneered people just getting really intricate.
Yeah.
Like the
They're
people
gonna be-
were like the people had to level up to August Burns Red because they came out the gate and like the Double Horse Prada was doing it, but then August Burns Red put a whole new twist on it, and everyone's like, shit.
Well, and it was like
So many bands tried to do what they were doing. They were the kings of that shit when they started.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're playing a Warped Tour in Orlando when I'm gonna be there with Traders.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how excited I am to watch them. I've never actually seen them live.
Oh, they're
Damn,
incredible.
they're so good.
They're
They
so
were
good live.
My favorite band for so long.
yeah, you're gonna love it.
I can't wait.
And they at that time too like had hella good production, and I think that stood out obviously because
Right.
look where we're at now with production, and then look where the standard was 15, 20 years ago.
It was very low in comparison, but they
Yeah.
brought the game.
It sounded amazing, and
Yeah.
that was one of one of the key things that started bringing me into the heavier side of music. Now I lived in the suburbs of Tucson, so I was in kind of a new suburb area in my kind of specific area, and at my school there was like 3 scene kids. And
Shit.
yeah, and they showed me a lot of music. Like I became homies because I was in, during that time it was try to get with anybody who was into metal. Like that was a friend, right? Because they were going to show you something.
It was
Obviously,
so tight knit and small at the time.
It was so tight knit and small to the point where I remember going to the movie theaters. I remember leaving Elf with my dad and mom, and there was a fucking show going on at GameWorks, which was like an arcade right next to the thing, and people were moshing.
Oh, that's
With the full peacock hair and like everything.
yes.
And like I was just seeing that, but like I said, I still was kind of like separated because I was younger. I had a MySpace, started discovering all the bands on MySpace. Then it started getting to the like heavier side of stuff with like the heavier metalcore. Started getting into like deathcore with Oceano and Molotov Solution. Misery Signals with the metalcore. Just started really like branching deeper into it. And I grew up playing guitar, so like the vocal side of stuff happened a lot later. So I grew up playing guitar,
Damn.
and I was trying to do that, with like bands, but I couldn't really get past the writing part of it. It was always just like throwing down some fat fucking chugs, you know, on something. And my buddy growing up, Nick, he's like my best friend to this day. He is like the one guy that out of nowhere I could just jump on a guitar with right now and we could like get by for 15 minutes. This is going to be some basic shit, but like
It was so tight.
he was my boy. Like he was my
Yeah.
person that like kind of got me into it with the whole nine. And then I got to high school and then everything changed, bro. Like, you know, you can start going to shows, got a little bit older.
Yeah.
Tucson was really, really interesting because, like I said again, it was really diverse. It was a big hardcore scene, big metalcore scene, big deathcore scene, but everybody went to all the same shows. And
That's what I miss about the old days.
was that how it was like here as well?
It was so like that, bro. You just post on MySpace, and then all of a sudden you'd be playing a little 100 cap room. And there's a whole mosh pit inside and outside.
Yeah.
And you were like, this is tight.
It was like people wanted to go because that was like a fucking opportunity instead of now when you have like multiple opportunities during the week to go to so many sick shows. We obviously live in an area as well that has so much current tours coming through it, which I'm so thankful for. But Tucson was, you know, being in Tucson, it's a second city. Like Phoenix is the main city. Tucson is a smaller city. And we were lucky. We had, during that time, a ton of metal tours coming through, like the Atticus Metal Tour. That was super diverse, right? So that had, I remember seeing Betrayal, As Blood
Yes.
Runs Black, Alisana,
Bro.
like all these random bands that you would never see now, like on a lineup unless it was, you know, like All Stars Tour, which that's not even a fucking
Yeah,
thing.
talk about a spread.
Yeah. And so that was, it was interesting because a lot of the people at the shows as well, it was, I wasn't going to say they're like older, but it wasn't how it is now where there's a bunch of young kids at it. You know what I mean? Like a bunch of high school kids. It was us just defending ourselves against everybody older who was already kind of into the scene and had grown with that music over time.
Oh, yeah.
And just a bunch of my friends from high school and I, we'd go to these different shows. Went to so many shows, drove to Phoenix. That would be like, Phoenix was like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive from us. So we'd drive up on the weekend. My parents were cool and would let me come back during the week. So honestly, yeah, everything started in Tucson at the Rock, which is insane because that's where Lil Peep died as well.
Damn.
And that's also the first place I played my first show.
Damn.
And went to my first metal show as well, which is a trip. So that one
Small
place.
world.
That's like full circle moment for
Yeah.
you, for sure.
And the venue, you know, like Tucson's changed a lot. It's got a huge hardcore scene now. Tucson is, I would say, honestly, it has a bigger scene than Phoenix. I'm not
Yeah.
living there anymore, but, you know, from what I'm, like, talking about with a lot of homies and, like, seeing myself, it's just, it's fucking blown up.
Yeah.
And we've, you know, not trying to scare too far forward or anything like that, but with me growing up, it was just that super diverse look at music, like having a love for deathcore, metalcore, hardcore, love pop punk. Pop punk was huge in Phoenix with a lot of bands from there as well.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, man, just fucking kept like going with the guitar side of it until I got to high school, like I was saying, and I was playing bass in this band called Valediction, which was like, we kind of like covered different bands. We were covering like For the Fallen Dream songs.
No
Tight.
way.
We covered like A Day to Remember songs like from the old shit. You know what I mean? And it
Emerald
was
Blue was my shit
so good.
back in the day, dude.
So
Oh my
good.
god.
But we were just like I said, suburban like metalhead kids in Tucson, and a buddy of mine, his name is Brian. He's in a band, a hardcore band out of Tucson called See It Through. They're actually really sick.
Okay.
And he taught me like some of my first screams. We would go out to this spot called Como in Tucson. It was like one of the weed smoking spots, like back in the time when weed was like hella illegal, you know?
Yeah.
So we'd smoke out there, and he had this shitty ass Honda Civic. It was like a 2003. We would just box that fucker, and like I would just sit there with him, and he'd be like, "Dude, just like yeah." And I started adapting that, and from that moment, I was like, "Dude, I'm gonna become a fucking vocalist." And
Dude.
showed up to one of our band practices like a couple months later, and they went all outside to go smoke a cigarette. I took the microphone. I was in that room, and I started hitting some lows, and they came inside, and a couple days later, the band broke up because they were like, "Yo, we need to reconstruct this." And yeah, through some shit, I ended up starting my first like metalcore band
Damn.
in Tucson called Heroics. Did that for a couple years and was tracking with this guy who they were going through, who we ended up starting to Decayer together.
Oh, tight.
Yeah.
Okay. And what year
Sick.
was that?
We started Decayer in 2016.
Okay.
Deep.
Yeah.
9 years.
Deep.
Yeah.
9
So
years.
it's you know, like I said, kind of like it was connection based through there. It's Arizona's a lot different than California. Here we get to go to shows, we get to go out after.
I love that you just said that because it's not.
It's what?
It's not.
It's way different.
Nope.
Tell me how.
Your exact story is the exact story I had
Oh, really?
to the T.
What happened?
Sacramento. Literally grew up in Elk Grove, suburban area
Yeah.
outside of Sacramento. People used to go and play shows at the Plantation Coffee or this little church around the street and all that stuff, right? But then I never got into this music until I heard As Blood Runs Black and Born of Osiris with the Warriors and Walls of Jericho and Lionheart at Boardwalk. And I heard, fucking bow down. And I went, I want to do that shit.
It just takes that
As
one. Dude.
soon as I heard that
That was my
shit.
ringtone, by the way. For a
That shit was
while.
hard.
Down, yeah.
That brace legs into bow down shit
Yeah.
was nasty. And I was like, I want to do that shit. And then I was sitting in a fucking old Honda Civic, smoking weed with my friend
That's crazy.
in the
dude.
in the Taco Bell parking lot at 2 a.m.
Oh my God.
bullshitting in a little suburban country town, learning how to scream. Started my first fucking metal band when I was 14 years old.
That's fucking funny.
You say it's different, I beg to differ.
That's crazy. Well, I remember.
Life's a trip, dog. This music
Yeah.
shit, it's all 3 degrees of separation. A lot of us have the same fucking stories, and a lot of
Yeah.
us don't realize, like, the old scene was very similar in a lot of ways, and that's what made it so welcoming.
Well, I would say this, like the difference. What I meant about Arizona versus here is like, especially living in Phoenix the years that I did before I moved here. We'd go to a show and it's so fucking hot out after. / like they don't really have the type of substructure there for people to like just like here's a park, let's go hang out, or like here's the bar next door. The Niles definitely has like some of that, but here what I like is that like everything's kind of urban feel. So we get to go to these shows. There's like there's stuff, there's life going on because like Arizona's not a walking state.
No.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm
and
saying?
I will agree with that for sure.
Yeah, so for me, like, dude, moving over here, and especially one of the big reasons that pushed me to move through here is we kept touring through here, and I just fucking really liked it.
Yeah.
And it would suck, dude. I'd go to shows in Phoenix and even growing up in Tucson, and it was just like, go to the show, meet up with your homies, and then you go back home. And it was always fucking like that. And yeah, like Phoenix is different because with Tucson, I mean, everything is like all spread out with the different shows where it's at. Like in Mesa, you have the Nile. Mesa the Nile has that street that has like some bars and whatnot, but we're lucky here. Like downtown has most of the venues.
It wasn't always like that, though.
It's crazy.
You know what's crazy is there was only like 3 venues.
Shit.
There was 3 venues. It was Boardwalk, Club Retro, and the Underground. 2 in Carmichael, 1 in Folsom. Downtown Sac didn't even have Ace of Spades.
Wow.
Ace of Spades wasn't around until like 08, I think.
Wow.
I didn't realize it was that new.
It's new.
Yeah,
it's
that's crazy.
it's new.
I mean,
It seems like it had been
17
around.
years, but
Feels
you
like it's
know.
been around, but you know what?
Yeah.
I've seen local bands play there.
Uh-huh.
Like all local bills.
Oh wow. So the growth of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's crazy to think about, but there was not that many venues to play at.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Skylit Drive play with The Fall of Troy before they released Doppelganger. They had the Ghost Ship. I think it was the Ghost Ship albums that they had, their EPs. Saw them in a coffee shop in Elk Grove.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
I played in an Ike's sandwich shop one time.
That's lit. Okay,
Damn.
In Chico.
bro,
That
I'm
wins.
trying to get
That
some.
wins, bro.
I'm trying to get
Like-
some Ikes and play a show. Like that
So
would be
later.
lit.
Sometimes you just like you want to have the show, you don't know where you're gonna have it. Come up with something.
Ike's
You know?
was down with it.
Yeah.
That's tight,
Yeah.
dude.
I mean, like I don't know how familiar you are with San Jose, but do you guys remember Nickel City? This little arcade.
Yes.
They used to have shows there. And I grew up going to Nickel City. It was, nickels, so
Yeah.
cheap ass arcade.
Okay.
You'd give them like $5 and you have 100.
balling.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're balling off $5.
And I just imagine taking breaks between band sets and watching, or playing games and then going back to the show. And they also have birthday parties there. But like you find shows squeezed into the weirdest places sometimes.
I miss, honestly, dude, like, I miss when there would be, like, obviously now all the bands that were squeezed into these, like, little spots and stuff, they're now playing, like, fucking huge arenas and shit like that. Because there is I remember seeing Knocked Loose, like, 8 years ago with, like, 75 people. Not
Yeah.
even. Like,
Crazy
not
to
even,
think about now.
dude. Like, and now it's like, dude, like, people are fucking financing a ticket just to go see them.
Yeah,
You
Put that
know?
shit on layaway.
Yeah, dude,
Bro.
you're fucking your life up just to go see it. And honestly, like, that's what I feel like we were talking a little bit earlier with where this metal money is definitely growing because, fuck, dude, I remember going to All Stars tour. Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
It
The
was
All Stars
like-
tour was so tight.
It was like 20 bands, 25 bands. They made it one thing all the way through, and I'll never forget this at Tucson at our biggest venue that we have there, the Rialto. They held it there, and they wouldn't let people, like, if you left, you wouldn't get back in admittance, and then their water fucking jug went out halfway. People looked dead, bro, before a mirror. Like, it was the most depressing set I've ever seen. It was like, they had, like, Optimus Prime Green fucking... You remember from that album? On stage, they came out. He's like, "What's up, motherfuckers?" There's people laying on the ground, and it's just
in
dying.
Arizona just dying.
Dude, Warped Tour. I forgot the year. I was just talking to somebody about this. I remember seeing fucking the Acacia Strain. And I was like half alive in the crowd, barely alive on water. I had a lemonade in my hand, just dry mouth, just like swaying fucking to Beast. You know what I mean?
Not
It was-
even drunk, just
no,
exhausted.
sober.
Like dead
Dead
sober
sober,
and just
dude.
exhausted.
Yeah, and living. That's why I have to say for sure that, like, obviously, you know, during the winter time in Arizona, it's not like bad, but it has been nice here that we do have some of these cool spots right next to some of these venues to be able to kick it after and not
Yeah.
just kind of like call it home or like something like
Yeah.
that. So you can feel that
So
kind of.
Sometimes going to a show can be like a whole weekend plan.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Because for me, coming from San Jose, it's 2.5 hour drive. If it's traffic, it could be worse.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So if I come out to a show over here, you know, if I'm blessed enough that it's on a Friday or Saturday, I'm just like, I'll just stay here until Sunday.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and you go around after the venue because you got a hotel nearby anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and
It's nice too. With
make a
it.
whole night out of it.
I
Absolutely.
love that Sacramento grew so much in the last like decade, I would say, because it's like it's so much going on now that it's like
flourishing.
it's like, dude, and we just opened up another venue here and it's like tight. Like I'm like, it's more for national bands, but we're getting more opportunities to see more national bands, but then you're also gonna have to pick what ones you want to go to.
That's crazy.
Like that's an LA problem that's happening in Sacramento now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, I'm like-
having too many shows. It's like when you're at a festival and two of your favorite bands are playing at the same time. If you get that unlucky,
Yeah.
but it's a
sucks.
better problem to have than, you know, looking at a festival lineup and being like, like I'm not really that excited about any of these.
Because there was a show that was happening the same day we played together.
Me and you,
Yeah, at Roseville, and I can't remember what it was.
Roseville. Which one did we play together at Roseville?
No. When we played at Starlit, there was a
Oh,
show
okay.
at Roseville that was sold out.
Oh, was it the Make Them Suffer tour?
It was the Make Them Suffer tour.
They were Well, I mean, I say they were following us because it was a bigger tour. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But they were with us like city to city to city for like a week.
That's hilarious.
They were playing at the Nile
Yeah.
when we were playing whatever that venue is right next door.
Oh God.
I forget what's the name of that room?
Oh, so were they at the? So the Nile has the underground, and then the upstairs.
Oh,
one.
so Arizona, yeah, we were playing in the basement.
Yep,
And
the
then there was
underground.
another one, I think maybe it was in New Mexico or something. But yeah, we kept running into them. And every time we were like, okay, you know, like a lot of kids are going to go over there. We still had pretty solid turnouts, you know.
Yeah, I
like,
mean-
for our show, because it's not exactly the same fan base, and I don't want to make it sound like competing tour packages makes us enemies either. Like we're all
100% not.
we're all just helping the scene, and the kids are excited
Yeah.
to have a bunch of stuff going on that one night in their city.
creates more demand.
Yeah.
Oh,
More
yeah.
opportunity for kids to go out and fucking get out of their house instead of just staying at home and listening to it.
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot more opportunity now than there used to be, but like it comes with so much more work though that like people don't want to talk about, and like I feel like that's like a really good thing. Like, you know, like Sean, you've been in the game for so long, and you've kind of been like myself, like we've been in this long enough to know like there's so much legwork that has to happen. Like you were talking about social media and stuff and learning all that, but then like what was that like aha moment like with your band then when you started like getting that social media side of it that you were like, yo, like we got to start hammering this way harder? Because I know you put a lot into that.
Yeah, no, it's just the change that's always happening. Like you notice that nothing really stays the same, and it's a quick change. But what I've really noticed is that it's just, especially with anybody who's at home, a lot of people have like small attention spans, and it's about making it tangible for people, right? Because if you can't catch somebody to show or see them live, like how could you still make that experience for them, like to where you're still there, right? Like being able to be more than just a track that's on Spotify.
Right.
I think that like mindset really, and I say this as somebody who, with Filthy, I've never always wanted to put Decayer as the forefront of Filthy, and the reason why is because I didn't start it as that, right? And so my idea all the time is to make things relatable, but yet within like a time frame so that people are always kind of wanting more, without oversaturating. So I think for me, man, it was just kind of like, kind of going with that change, understanding it, and seeing, that kind of learning my algorithm more than anything. I know we've talked about that.
Yeah, and I think I bring this up because a mutual friend of ours, Cameron, he made a comment and he said like, when is it that you start taking your band seriously? Like when do you, like from the beginning, the middle, where, like at what point do you do it? And I was like, kind of a hot take, but like, if you want to go do this at the highest level and love it, you got to kind of go from the beginning. Yeah. Like from the beginning, you have to know enough. Or if you're already started and you're seeing the change, you got to be like, for me personally, I looked at this next record that we were releasing and said, okay, I'm going to take 12 months off to figure out how this industry works. Figure out how to do the social media thing, pairing up with Filthybreakdowns with you, which thank you again.
Absolutely,
like
dude.
Working with Filthybreakdowns in a moment's notice has been nothing but amazing the whole way through. But like, I had to pivot, and it was like, I wish I took it as seriously back then when I first started it, because it was an internet project. It wasn't supposed to really do anything. And then I was like, oh shit, like actually is a thing. Maybe I should take this more seriously. But like, for you, like, what's your perspective on that? Like, when do you feel like you should take it seriously? Like, for like other people that are starting a band for their first time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like setting your goals. Like realistically, it's, if you want to look at it as like, do you want other people to hear this and be at your show? Like, do you want to make them a believer, or do you want it to be something that you get to stay at home and just some people are going to be able to enjoy online? I think that there's these two different quests. A lot of people are going for the gold. They're going to do everything that they can do to get to the top. There's a lot of different, obviously, I don't have the answers to all the way to the top. All I know is different formulas that are working. Right. But I think, kind of like on top of what you're saying, kind of that umph for more kind of drives from, like I said, like understanding where the level is of what you're trying to achieve. And I think that the pressure right now in life with a lot of people who have families, like I know you have kids. Yeah. And I applaud you legitimately for like having a podcast, killing it with your band, right? Like taking on now booking with the opportunity to tour, right? Like you have to tell yourself what out of this do I want? And I think a lot of people don't create a structure. If you don't have a structure, you don't have a way you're going to go about doing this, and what is the goal? You know what I mean? For me, the beginning of my musical career, I remember when we first started Decayer, I knew nothing about marketing. I was just a voice. I was on stage screaming, and that was because I didn't understand what I wanted out of being a musician. It to me was just trying to like get better. At that point, I think confidence is big too. Obviously, with once you start learning these things, and you do two wrong things, the third time you do it right, you start learning. But really, what I would say for other bands and people that are really trying to take that like serious curve is to create a structure behind it. What are your goals, right? Like, who are the people in your team that are going to make that happen? What are people going to do to contribute to make this goal happen? I don't think that without a structure, you're going to be able to achieve shit. Now, there's so much creativity out there as well. And like we're seeing so many fusion type metal bands, this like death metal mixed into hardcore, mixed into deathcore, mixed into metalcore. It's just, there's so many types of bands of that. And I think that people are getting creative now with being able to have that content for people to want more. And it's just, I truly feel like it's being yourself, one, but at the same time too, staying consistent and staying professional with it, you know, because people, it's like trying to get people's consideration. And you notice that it's super easy to turn people away. It is. You give them too big of an intro, or you give them too long of a draw out on something, and they don't want to take the research to watch the whole entire thing. But I think that drives all the way back to what like a band is like wanting, right? And so I think through this time, and advice for anybody out there, if you are starting this thing and you want to take it seriously and you want to tour, you know, like build that groundwork up with the establishment of your band and get people to believe.
Right.
Yeah, you know what? If I can add to that as well,
Totally.
in terms of seeing the vision from the very beginning, it's definitely like there's nothing wrong with starting something and not necessarily having some grand vision for it. Because it sounds like with a moment's notice, you started it because, you know, you wanted to do it, but it was meant to just be on the internet, you know.
I had no preconceived notions of being like a band that played.
Right. Like it told you at a certain point that this needs to be more real.
Right.
But we definitely need to, you know, acknowledge that it should be a situation where you know, fake it till you make it. And it's not like you're faking it, you know what I mean? But that's the cliche. But the fact is that you have to believe in what you're doing before anybody else can be expected to.
Right.
100%.
So I think that, you know, like, when do you start to take it seriously? It should be from ground zero if you set out with the intention of making something a big name, or you know, like getting to the top of the food chain.
Yeah, like if you're already in an established band and then you're like, I'm gonna start a side project. Well, that opens a whole new door. But how are you gonna do that side project in comparison to the band that you're already doing it successfully in from the ground up?
Well, there's the segue, huh?
Yeah, it's a perfect time.
Yeah. So we're not gonna give you guys all the tea just yet, but there is there's a new project brewing. Speaking of tea brewing, I'm stupid.
I love it, dude.
Yeah, Sean and I have been talking for a while. The third person that is currently involved in this is Getty Franco. I used to be in bands called Kubrick Stare and Aniver with him. He's a good friend of both of ours. He's a good friend of yours as well. You know, we all know him.
Love him.
He's a very, very talented songwriter. And we've just been, all three of us have been sitting with this idea that we want to try something fresh compared to what we're already doing. You know, you got Decayer, I'm in Traders. Getty is working very hard on creating a career as a producer. He's putting a lot into sound engineering right now.
Oh yeah, you can see the work he's putting in for sure.
Yeah. So, but the three of us kind of clicked together at one point on the fact that we kind of all see a similar vision. And Getty had some songs written, which will be heard in the near future, that worked very well for what all three of us are motivated by.
Yeah.
The name will be released sometime soon because we just, actually today, all three of us locked in on a name for the project, which kind of makes it more real for us. But we're in the tracking process right now. That's going to be made public as soon as possible because I've talked about this on previous episodes, but my ankle's still slightly busted. So I still need to write my drums for these songs. There's demo drums written, but I got to put my twist on it, make sure that it's up to my standards.
He's doing that brain mapping right now.
Yeah, I mean, I am an ear learner, so I mean, I could definitely tell you, like, I can listen to it and think, oh, I might do that a little differently, or I might add to here a little bit.
Yeah, 100%.
I am doing some brain mapping, but the music is there. And the music is there, and obviously we're sitting with Filthybreakdowns CEO right now, so there's a built-in marketing plan. So you guys are going to start hearing about this project in the very near future, and we think you'll love it.
Yeah, we're stoked on it. It's so cool because it's all through like what we were talking about, man. Like years of change and going through like with networking and like meeting new people, you come across people that you share a vision with, you know, and the commonality, and you almost tell yourself, you're like, why wouldn't we go and push something like that? And so I think the coolest part about all of this is we're really taking the time to make it just the perfection of wow we feel that needs to be put out.
Yeah, dude. I think like the first time I cut your hair, you and I like we started talking about just life, music, basically this, what we're doing right here. And Sean gets up and he's like, bro, I really like talking to you. Yeah. He's like, hold on, like I really like talking to you.
It's
And,
hard
like,
sometimes
it's
to
that
have
simple.
open conversations with people. If you notice, some people are just fucking keeping it super dull, and like you have to try to open it up with people, and that's the most awkward.
We
bro,
had
trying
like
to open
probably
it
like
up.
one of the best conversations. I think we were bonding on North Lane,
We were
old North
bonding on-
Lane.
yeah,
I was
dude.
like, dude, old North
Yeah,
Lane. That
bonding on that North
that
hits,
Singularity
dude.
Discoveries shit. I was like,
good.
so good.
Those
so
two
good.
albums specifically, absolutely goated.
Those are my favorite. I'm just gonna
Like,
throw that
so
out
good.
there.
Like
Those are
no
my favorite.
diss to them and what they're
No.
doing now, but like
No.
those albums were different. That was when
Yeah.
Volumes and them were like they were neck and neck fighting for that gent style.
Is that Adrian Philippidis? I think that's his last name. I might have butchered that, but that dude was such a good fucking vocalist.
Oh, he was
Yeah.
amazing.
He
He had a
had-
unique vocal tone too.
Yeah, he did.
I loved it.
Yeah.
did.
You know who reminds me of him? Carson from Petroglyph.
Yeah. Shout out Petroglyphs.
Yeah, Petroglyph,
yeah.
Petroglyph's vocalist, he sounds a lot like Adrian. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude.
Petroglyphs is a sick band, dude.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
tight. They're
There's
tight.
a lot of sick ass bands in Sacramento. I mean, we could go on that fucking for days. And that's just that's what I love seriously about moving here too, is I truly did not think that I would ever join another project besides Decayer. Like I had it in my mind that Decayer would be the only thing with Filthybreakdowns, and man, over time it's just you change and you start adapting to kind of, I wouldn't say new interests, but when you find this energy with like other people, and then fuck man, after Getty sent us this demo, all of us, it's like it's funny how like music can pull people together. We all just started like coming at it in the perfect like syncopation of how it would flow out. And we have some vocals laid out already on a rough. He's gonna be tracking with Getty, I'm gonna be tracking with Getty, everything organic at a studio. But we're fucking stoked on it. I think people are gonna dig it. People are definitely gonna mosh.
I know people are going to dig it because I literally heard a demo and was like, I was like, y'all play a show and y'all need a bassist. I'm
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna be there because I'm like, I'm coming out of retirement for this one. I'm like, because I fuck with it so hard. I was
Coming
like,
out swinging,
I was
dude.
like,
Yeah.
bro, y'all play a show. I'm playing bass. I don't give a fuck. Fuck the vocals. I'm just doing it.
Yeah, no, we talk about this like if there ends up being overwhelming demand, maybe we'll bring it out, bring it off of the internet, make it real. But I mean, at some point,
I mean,
like we've been through enough rounds of like starting a band, releasing music, trying to get it off the ground, that whole cycle, to where we know what to do at this point.
yeah.
The quality of the music is there. All of us have our own connections in the industry at this point, so there's no reason for it to not catch some steam. And I think eventually we will take it on stage.
I 100% agree.
And also, to add to what you were saying about when you started with Decayer, you planned to put all your eggs in that basket.
Yeah.
Like, what I like about this project that we're working on now is that I think everybody, to a certain degree, starts out thinking that this is what I want to be, the one that goes the distance.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's kind of the same thing with when you start to learn how to write music. You write a song, and when you decide, okay, this song is complete, like you write the end of the song or whatever.
Right.
I think early in everybody's songwriting days, you tend to get attached to the first draft of it, and you are like scared to revise it, or you get set in your ways.
Yeah.
And you don't want to, like think that maybe I could make it even better if I come at it with a fresh set of ears. But we've been through enough different projects that I think we're not scared of that anymore.
No.
We're like, we understand that the more time and effort and, revision, the more we digest new ideas, the better they'll get.
That brings up a really good point because our producer, Nick, He said something to me one day, and he's like, "You really got to just study music." And I was like, "Study music? The hell?" I'm like, "I'm not going to school for this." And I'm like, "Bro, like the hell?" Like I'm like, "I don't have money for that." But then he goes, "No, dude." He's like, "Go put a song in your DAW and listen to it. Break it down every morning." So I'm like, I wake up so early every morning, and I'm like, I put a new song in the DAW, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick this apart. There's a really big difference between listening and studying music. I mean, it's weird. And then all of a sudden, I had horrible timing. Horrible on vocals. Play guitar, on time, every time. Play drums, on time. Vocals, couldn't fucking do it to save my life. And all of a sudden, I started doing that, came into the studio, tracked a whole song in literally a day with, like, from scratch.
Damn,
and I was like,
cool.
huh? And he was like, yeah. But it's like, you guys go and talk about, like, these projects and, like, never, not if or when or whenever. Mm-hmm. Who the fuck thought Darko was going to do anything? And they just hinted.
Dude.
Yeah.
They've been insanely successful for a hot minute already. Nobody even thinks of them as like
a playing band, and they just asked,
buying a
"Where do you
ticket
want to
to-
see us?"
It's because people
dropped the hint.
People believe.
Yeah.
People are. It's what when with them too. What I love is that they don't give all the way.
No.
If you notice,
God,
like
no.
musically, fuck yeah. I mean, the music is the shit.
It's like a hive mind. Their
but
music.
we don't have anything really in front of us that besides some of the live stuff. There's nothing in front of us yet that's given that full like tangible sense to where we're like, oh fuck, here's the whole live experience. That makes it a further mystery, and just the demand, man. Like I want more Darko all the time.
Like,
Because the element of mystery is a cool thing to add to it too.
yeah,
because
100%.
the type of music they come out with, it sounds like you're fighting Thanos.
I want to hear Dragon Chaser live.
Yeah,
like I'm
no,
like, I want to hear that live.
y'all
It'd be
are
like,
especially
dog.
since do you remember when Baby J dropped the playthrough of Made to Please after he
Yes.
wrote drums with Spike?
Yes.
And he captioned it very simple. He's like, just for anybody who still thinks I can't actually play this, like, because a bunch of people were saying like
He can't play
bullshit.
it. Yeah.
Like you guys programmed this. He didn't play that.
And it's him in 4K right in there playing it.
And it's effortless. So
Perfect.
if you watch Darko live, it's gonna be a good live show. There's there's certain genres of music that I don't even think it's as true these days. Like Brand of Sacrifice, Born of Osiris, bands like that are super super technical. I mean even Infant Annihilator is they are an internet project, but
yeah, they've never touched the stage yet.
Right,
I don't know if they will.
But bands like
Yeah.
that, I feel like there was more of a stigma back in the day that those types of bands just don't perform well live.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because artists are just working harder, or they're coming up with methods to become even better at their instrument. But there's a lot of bands that play that type of music that make it sound like the record on
Yeah.
stage, and it's insane to see.
It's
Bro, the-
disembodied tyrant.
Yep.
Yes.
Dog, the
Yes.
Disembodied tyrant.
The biggest compliment you can get, and you guys will probably agree to me on this one, the biggest compliment you can get from a fan is, dog, your record fucks. You guys live fucks even harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want
Like,
it
you're
to
like,
all
Yeah.
ooh,
because
that
there's
hits
something-
different.
Yeah, when
It
someone
is.
comes to see you live, the relationship they have with you, not even just as a band, but as a group of artists, it changes because people see the actual people behind the music, and then they want to buy your merch. Then they want to buy the VIP package. They want to keep in touch with you online, even.
Right.
Like, because a lot of times when you see a tour package come through, they live like 1,000 miles away. You can't like kick it with them.
No.
But once they come to see you live, and they run into you at the venue, you just talk to them. It's not just about the fact that the music is impressive anymore. It's that like you're the person who wrote this impressive music, and I fuck with you.
Right.
That's how you create a loyal fan base, like the Ghost Inside we were talking about on a previous episode. The Ghost Inside has one of the most loyal fan bases I've ever seen in music.
Yeah. I
Like-
feel, yep.
Insane.
They're just goated. Like, it's undeniable. And anybody that's like, I don't like the Ghost Inside, I'm like, I don't understand you.
Well, the
Like,
band.
I just don't understand it because they're so beloved by the entire industry across
Yeah.
the board in every genre. They are loved.
Yeah, and if you're saying the music just isn't your cup of tea, but you're saying the band sucks because of that, you're just a hater.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
Straight up.
because
Straight up.
the music can not be your cup of tea, but you can respect the hustle and you can respect what they've been through with that bus crash where the driver was killed,
Yeah.
where the drummer lost a leg. Everyone came away with broken bones, and they had to take 5 years off, and they still came back.
Yeah.
And their career.
And they shoot a fucking music video in the same spot that shit happened.
Well,
yeah, you have to respect those things.
I think the biggest thing with
Crazy.
the Ghost Inside and like the success that they've had over these past years of coming back as a band has been fucking insane. It's really cool that during the pandemic, when they weren't in the rotation of touring and they were getting back into everything, Andrew and I became friends. I started promoting his Gent project called, I think it's One Decade.
Ooh.
Okay,
Hopefully
I think
I'll
I might
get
have seen
to
him
that.
post some clips of that.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
realize it was like a project, but
It
I
was his
saw
project,
him. I saw
yeah.
him working on something.
It's actually funny, but he sent me this instrumental, and I was gonna do vocals on it. And we were gonna run a track together, and I got so in my head about it, I could not finish it, dude.
Oh,
I swear to God, like I'm saying this on here, and I'm being real. This happened, and like I said before the pandemic time, some years later, the Ghost Inside is back at it, and the number one thing for me that just was like, it shined through everything is when they came back with music, they kept it so fucking real right off of where they were coming from before.
Yep.
With those punchy, like, that's what fucking,
Yeah.
I think when I think the Ghost Inside, which so many bands have adapted that spot, doing a fucking call out line into straight breakdown.
Oh yeah.
I'm a firm believer
I
that
am a thief of that.
all of us have it. Like,
Yeah,
I don't care
and-
what it is. So many bands are influenced by it, but that band is one of those that instead of coming back out after all this time and being like, yo, we're going to modernize into a more, like modern sound, which they do have an element of that.
Yeah.
Dude, the new music is heavy as fuck.
Still.
Yeah, no,
Still.
and
Still.
you know what's crazy about it too? Like, I mean, think about their first album, like all the way up
So
till
good,
now.
Provoked.
Like
that.
it's
And then
all,
they
all of
dropped
it is
Dear
incredible, but I mean, but think about the fact that their sound hasn't like morphed into something else.
No, they've 100% been themselves this entire time, and they will not stop doing
They've
that.
added to it and they've put like slightly different twists on it, but a lot of bands, like, I mean, 5-6 albums deep, they'll morph into something almost completely different, like the Bring Me the Horizon kind of transformation.
That one's a wild one.
Which is okay if the artists want to do that, if like, to each their own.
Yeah.
But it's worthy of recognition that the Ghost Inside has been truly authentic,
genuine to self
throughout the whole
sound,
time,
yeah.
and they dropped that album with Aftermath on it. I'm sorry, what's it called? The album.
It's actually just, I think it's a self-title.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
The
So
Ghost Inside.
yeah, so that album obviously made waves because they came back from a traumatic event that a lot of bands would have stopped after that.
I
But they-
wouldn't even blame them to stop, to be honest.
Fuck
Yeah,
no.
but
yeah,
if
totally
they wanted to do that,
Look,
hang it up. Sure.
I'm like, bro, you got in a horrible accident. You had to relearn how to walk.
Yeah,
now
but-
they're going down the same streets again.
Yeah.
fucking
Right.
doing their thing, and that's so.
And
honorable.
they've released another album since then.
Yeah.
And it's still fire.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah,
dude, like
still fire.
I think that music is a very powerful thing, and we all have like certain words or bands and stuff that got us like through some shit, and I think that's like what fans do, but like also as musicians. But then like when I blew both of my knees out and my back in the military, one song came on, and then I got a tattoo of it. This last tour,
I think I know what song you're talking about.
Mercy.
Oh, wow.
I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk. And I heard, life swinging hard, but I'm swinging harder. And I was like, I'm getting out of this motherfucking chair today.
The what? Yeah.
Like, I'm
That's the
getting
thing
out
about
of
the
this
Ghost
motherfucking
Inside.
chair,
The
bro.
Ghost Inside has those fucking straight motivational punchlines, bro.
Yeah.
They're like, yo,
Motivational, too,
motherfucker,
yeah.
you got this shit. Breakdown.
Yeah. And I'm like, fire.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Bro, I love that.
Like-
I fucking love that.
And I got that shit tattooed on on my knee that it has a blown out hole from my injury. But I did that.
Yeah.
I did that because it meant something.
Yep.
And like I think that's as musicians what we're trying to do. It's not about us. It's more so about how do we motivate the next generation to do this just that much better? How do we talk about the nitty-gritty shit, the playing in Phoenix and Tucson and never really having a scene that was like 3 people? The shit that like, bro, all of our stories are kind of similar,
Yeah.
but they all have these different little pieces to it that you really just, we all talk about this in a way that when people hear about us talking about music, that's just never about bragging, bro. It's never about bragging. We just fucking love this shit. And it's in our core. it's to our core so much that when we hear music, we're like, yo, hey, you hear that new track? And we're all geeking out about some band that we've never even fucking met.
Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah,
the
it's
way
true.
the way music can make you feel connected to people.
That you never, and then like, it's just that's what community is about. And that's why we do things like this podcast, to like connect with people, tell people about our stories, talk about like what it was like to start in a city that had not a lot going for it at the time. And then watching it grow and then finding out, oh shit, I can scream. Oh crap, I can do this? Going to go see a band that all of a sudden you become friends with later on down the road and you're like, there's no fucking way I know this band now.
Yeah.
You kind of just you stumble through that. Just all you know at the beginning is that you have ambition. That's all you know at the beginning, and you have no idea where you're going. You just kind of stumble through that process and you figure shit out along the way, and eventually you've made a mark. And if you're lucky, you'll make a mark like the Ghost Inside. Like I mean,
one can only hope for that kind of level.
I mean, being able to leave that as a legacy, just that's why we're on here talking about this stuff.
Right.
Because people don't get to hear conversations like this about how you pulled yourself out of the mud. And you started off without any idea how to get started, because there's so many people who want to do something like this and they enjoy going to concerts, but they're like, I'd like to be in a band, but what do I even do? Where do I start?
Yeah.
I don't know, where do I even find the people to play the instruments? How do I get a group of people to lock in on a vision that's that long term, that's going to take that long to achieve? Where do I start?
Yeah.
So in the interest of that, this has been another episode of Make Your Mark, and moral of the story is we're all just trying to be like the Ghost Inside, dude.
We're all trying to, yeah.
We're all trying to leave
Like, end
a
of story,
legacy
yeah.
like
I'm sorry.
that.
I mean, that's yeah.
I agree. And I have to say, too, like, on top of that, like, dude, shout out to a lot of these, like, OGs, some of these people that are about 5, 6, 7, 8 years older than us, who have embraced a lot of us professionally.
Oh,
Yep.
God, yeah.
On all these elements, and have been through and through so fucking cool, when even there's been a time in my life where I was super young, judgmental on maybe some bands, that there's some people that I'm fucking good friends with today that I was maybe judging their band when I was young and dumb, just as a fan in the crowd. It's really, really cool how close-knit this world is, and that people give a shit. And it's kind of funny what we said about earlier about, it's like when you see a metalhead somewhere and you're like, it's almost like you're comfortable, bro. You could be in a room of 200 people and there's some dude with some shirt and he's listening to some breakdowns. You're like, oh, bro, what's up?
Immediate connection.
Yeah, dude. It's like,
And there's a
oh,
conversation right there to break the ice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw some guy
Most
wearing an
definitely.
aborted shirt walking into the barbershop, and I was like, hell yeah, I love aborted. And he's like, what? He's like, you listen to this band? I was like, yeah, dog. And then I literally had a Yosemite and Black shirt on, actually. I had that one on, and he was like, oh, I heard about that band. I was like, bro, I just played a show with them. They're so tight.
That band's so sick. Yeah,
They're
you guys
so
were just on
tight.
tour with
They
them.
were so sick.
Yosemite and Black is tight, dude.
Love
those boys.
This is cool, and I really have enjoyed this because, as well, with all of this, we're all around the same age as well, and we have fans of this music that are like, there's 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds at shows in mass now, moshing and like having fun and like being those big ass motherfuckers at the show when I was that age, and like fending for my life. Now there's some 16-year-old kid who's 6'5" doing a fucking cartwheel.
Yeah.
Throwing himself into the side of the pit, knocking over a wall of people.
Yeah, dude. And it's and I gotta say though, like it's really cool through these years to see the embrace, to see a continuation of a community, and like imagine being only into, like, I love rap, but imagine only being into hip hop and rap, right? You don't get to go to all these VIP meet and greets maybe for like $3,000, $4,000.
Right.
You can go see, you can legitimately go and have a real experience with these bands that some of your favorite bands that have been around through fucking years. And that's what's really cool, is that, for as long as we have been around, there's these bands like the Ghost Inside who have like been through almost the beginning, whereas these shows were packing out with, I'm sure it was everybody into something else, and everybody believed. And it's cool to see that influence still exist, but now young fans of this band, of the Ghost Inside, because we all know now the Ghost Inside is as big as it's ever been. It's huge right now. It's
massive.
bigger, way bigger than before the crash. And obviously these dudes knew that the fan base was so loyal that they had to give the fans what the fans wanted.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that was
their album art is literally pictures of them with each of their fans.
that's so sick, man.
And it's just zoomed out.
Yeah,
And
like
then
one
it's the
big picture,
and then the logos on it. And that was what they used as album art.
Mm-hmm. That they
That
understood the
that
assignment.
is the defining moment.
Yeah,
And like for
Understood the
these,
assignment,
It did.
100%.
like when you're a local band and you're trying to do this, like, just remember that everyone started somewhere like that, but we all kind of have this similar thing where we look at it and go, man, I want to make an impact like them. Like, I really want to make an impact like them.
Yep.
And it's not for our own needy reasons. It's because when I get done writing all these songs and I'm done doing this, I want somebody to hear that song and go, I got out of a wheelchair
yeah,
because this song gave me power. I got through a heartbreak because of this song. I got through the darkest moments in my life because of this song. Even if you're not doing it, because that's what it was about.
yeah,
It was never about you. We never did it because of us. We loved it because somebody else showed us that we loved it. Now we're just trying to inspire other people to go love it just as much.
It
exactly.
was always bigger than that.
Yep.
That's how we'll
Yep.
make our mark.
Yep. And that's why we're gonna keep recording more episodes like this because I mean I feel like I've learned something.
Oh,
Every time we
100%
bring
I have,
in-
Yeah.
more perspective,
Every time
Yeah.
we bring in that's what it is. It's perspective.
It's
You know,
perspective. It
we're gonna-
definitely.
further perspective.
We're gonna continuously add to our perspective, and you know, hopefully this is helping people who are checking this out. This podcast is still pretty new, but I mean, we'll be back very soon with more of the same, man. Because these conversations can go on forever.
They really can. I mean, there could be an 8 hours schedule of this just BSing,
Yep.
and it will seem like a blink of an eye.
I didn't even feel like I was on a podcast here. Honestly, I was just that's how natural it gets with stuff like this. But what's cool is I feel like these open-ended conversations about shit that like people don't talk about, you know, because it's always about perception. It's just purely what someone's seeing in front of them, but there's just so much that goes behind the scenes, and I love talking about it, and it's nice to be able to talk with you guys about it too in this open-ended kind of talk and fucking really digest it and tear it apart, because like you guys said, we could go on about this for hours. There's so much stuff, man.
Forever. There's way more conversations that happen off the air, but some of them had to come on the air.
Absolutely.
Like we realized at a
100%.
certain point this just had to happen. So yeah, we'll be back very soon with more of this because I mean
I'm excited.
we could record 6 hours and have it be one episode, but our producer's looking at us, so I think we should give you the opportunity to plug anything else that you might want to.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there anything else you want us to know about?
We got new Decayer coming next month. I'm gonna be honest with y'all.
Let's go.
Glad
I don't-
said something.
I fucking wish I knew the date on hand, but it's coming out in June. The Substance, baby.
All right.
Ooh.
Also, big
right.
shout out my boys. Shout out this podcast. Nothing but love for the metal community, like we have been talking about here today. This is the type of community that is open to bringing people in. It doesn't matter who the fuck you are. And I think the coolest part about today is that we're talking about real shit that a lot of times you're not going to ever hear about, you know, between bands, between touring, between how a lot of things are happening. So, yeah, fucking love you guys. This has been dope. Thanks for having me.
Oh
Love you
yeah,
too,
bro.
dog.
Love you too, dog. Appreciate you coming
Yeah,
on.
100%.
All right. Peace out.
Peace out, y'all.
See y'all next time.